We've gone through 2.5 seasons of Street Fighter 6 so far, and the roster has developed considerably. But as I commented a couple months back, it still feels a bit lacking. And if I could personally choose one character to put in the roster, it would obviously be Balrog. But if that couldn't happen, then my second choice would be Cody. And if for some reason the mayor of Metro City can't make his way in, then the character I would want, the character I need, is Urien.
Urien, kneel before me when in my presence!
I really like Urien, and this isn't an uncommon opinion, but I'm not here to talk about him just because I like him. Y'all should be expecting more from me than that. Street Fighter V, much like any modern-day competitive game, just any modern video game, has had a series of patches and changes. And with it, the best characters would rotate around, with different seasons having different metagames. Character strength shifts, and because of it, different characters are played. But across every season, I think there are two characters who have always been viable. The first is the Turbulent Wind, Rashid, but the second one is Urien. Maybe you could also argue Guile, and Geeko kept Cammy alive, but we're getting off track. Despite all the changes and nerfs and new characters that were introduced after, Urien remained an anchor in the metagame. He wasn't going anywhere, and now he'll never go anywhere. So let's talk about him. Urien is a charge character. That means he has special moves that are done with holding back or down to get charge, then you press the opposite direction and a button to get the move. And you can't talk about Urien without talking about his headbutt and his chariot tackle. His knee press is also pretty neat, but it's not as integral to his game plan. Chariot tackle takes 40 frames, 2/3 of a second of holding back to charge, and gives him a long-reaching tackle. It can be spaced to be safe, and gives him decent screen control by itself. His dangerous headbutt takes 35 frames of down charge, and gives him an airborne headbutt that whiffs on crouching, but is safe. This is a combo tool that will be expounded upon later. Knee press is his dive kick, 40 frames of down charge, mostly a standard dive kick. Can be spaced to be plus, but there is a lot of startup, so it's used sparingly. His charge moves are integral to his gameplay, but not to his neutral. Until they are, but we'll get to that later. Charge characters don't have constant access to their special moves, which means they'll be a bit stronger on average, but it also means that the rest of their moves should make up the difference. And in Urien's case, it's his buttons, and they more than make up for his charge moves. Urien's got some really good buttons. He has tremendous range with his down forward heavy kick, or coral kick. He has a really good stand medium kick, it goes really far. Pretty decent stand heavy punch, and his crouch medium punch may be 0 on block, but it goes decently far and it can be risky to challenge. He also has his stand medium punch, plus on block, decently long, and really good for confirming into a tackle. And forward medium punch, coral punch, that is -2 on block, but can be followed up with a target combo and cancelled. Giant sweep. And finally, his crouch medium kick. -2 on block, but cancelable into something very good that I'll talk about later. With these moves, Urien has a really easy way of controlling space. Long buttons that have substantial upside on counter hit means that your opponents will have a hard time getting in closer to where they're more comfortable. But once they move a bit further back, out of the range of his buttons, he has access to his metallic sphere. His quarter circle forward fireball. It's not a very good fireball, its frame data is not the best, but he can charge it to make it multi-hit and make it plus on block. And he has an anti-air version of it, so they can't just jump in on reaction. It's enough to let him have a solid option once they get past his buttons. And the combination of these two contribute to his game plan. Play from your extended range while fishing for counter hit confirms, which lead to big damage in corner, while whiff punishing and confirming into your tackles with your punches. You're not really a hit confirmer the way someone like Corinne is, but it's adjacent to it. Your normals give you enough time to get charged, and like I said, your conversions off of them give you good damage in corner. And that's only when he's starved on resources. Once he gets some EX bar, it opens up even more terrifying options. If you EX the knee drop, then it becomes plus unless you're really tall, and becomes a not easy reaction test. It still takes charge, but it gives him a potential easy way in. His EX fireball is a standard EX fireball, multi-hit, and gives him plus frames on block. But the real moneymaker is his EX tackle. Goes a very far distance, is safe on block, unreactable, and is generally very strong. Kind of a, I don't want to think anymore, let me get in there move. Once he has EX bar, a Urien holding back or down back is threatening tackle from half screen and beyond. And one more thing. Guile has his boom loops, but Urien has his own loops, his headbutt loops. By doing a specific setup, you can create a scenario where you have enough plus frames to get another headbutt. Now, headbutt is a charge move, so how can you get this if you're canceling out of a standing normal? Charge moves give you a bit of leniency, meaning you can charge, let go and do your normal, then immediately cancel the up input to get the headbutt, keeping your charge from before. This seems really challenging, but in practice it's not that bad. All this means is that he has the potential for big damage. But I've been skating around this one thing that makes Urien so good. By far his best option, the one tool that made him so dangerous for all this time. His V-Trigger 1, the Aegis Reflector. One of the best V-Triggers in the game. Both of the voice actors performing this line are very entertaining.
Aegis Reflector! Aegis Reflector!
Part of the reason there's such a narrative about Street Fighter V just being about robbing comebacks with V-Trigger is because of this V-Trigger. And Urien's V-Trigger gives him access to damage and big mix-ups, just like his brother, Yasuo.
Harmony. That is the truth of what you must seek.
Did you know that Gill VT1 beats every projectile? Even supers? Nuts. Anyway, back on topic. Aegis sets up a mirror, one that reflects projectiles but also has an active hitbox. Each mirror has 3 hits before they shatter, and they remain on the screen until their time runs out or all hits expire. Urien can do other moves while this mirror is on the screen, which leads him being able to do whatever he wants. Not only does this give him lots of damage, hit your opponent into the mirror hits them, and you get any extension you want, leading to really flashy combos and the fabled swaggy Urien, it also opens up his mix-up game. Blows are overhead, left or right by using movement, and even threatening big combos off a throw if set up correctly or critical art most of the time. It's one of the few true set play tools in the game where you can't just take advantage of Street Fighter V's strong defense and just take the throw. Once the Aegis comes out, you have to guess. And he gets 2 of them. Spend both on extending one combo or set up another off of a knockdown or a normal. But a trigger can be limited by the way you activate it. Fortunately, Urien doesn't have that problem. At all. He can always spend a bar and EX tackle for an activation, and if they get hit, you get a combo. Or you can just throw out crouch medium kick and cancel into it. It's a really good cancel off of a very strong button, which makes him terrifying once he gets his V-gauge stocked up. Walking crouch medium kick range? Time to guess, bucko. Aegis is one of the best V-triggers in the game, and it makes Urien very strong. Alright, enough on the positives, no character is perfect, so where are Urien's weaknesses? His best pokes weren't cancelable, which forced him to take risks in his neutral. He can poke well for sure, but if you wanted to actually get in with him, you needed to press more committal, riskier options. But to get into his other, bigger weakness, we need to sidetrack for a bit and talk about reversals in Street Fighter V. There are 3 levels of reversal in Street Fighter V. You can have a normal invincible reversal, you could have no invincible reversal, or you could have the slow reversal. There's also the 4th level, where you're Vega and you just don't have any reversal. Not even your critical art has invincibility. Sorry, got sidetracked again. Reversals are completely invincible, meaning they beat strikes and throws. But in the case of the slow reversal, they have a long startup, meaning players on offense pressing lights have enough time to get the meaty light, finish the recovery animation, and block the active frames of the reversal. These reversals still beat bigger strikes and throws, but have a weakness to fast lights, making these reversals worse than normal ones with more room for outplay. Urien did have a reversal, but it was one of these slower reversals, which makes his defense lacking compared to those with normal reversals. But it did let him combo, so that's neat. The combination of these 2 weaknesses mean that if Urien gets punished for his mistakes in neutral, he gets punished harder than the vast majority of the cast. He's strong, but risky. With explaining the character out of the way, let's get into the clickbait claim in the video. Urien was a good character, really good. So Capcom wanted to tone him down so that he wasn't as good anymore. And they did a couple of things to try to accomplish this. First, they made EX chair tackle -2 on block instead of 0. Good change. I know Urien doesn't have a 3 frame, but this shouldn't be 0. And crouch medium kick was no longer plus, absolutely necessary, just like how booms shouldn't be plus. Then they made it so that if Urien gets hit on his V-trigger startup, the mirror doesn't come out, so you couldn't punish characters on offense using lights to abuse your reversal. Another substantial nerf. But the next one was the big one. Urien had a slow reversal. In the definitive update, they stripped away all invincibility from his EX headbutt. This was kind of unprecedented. Capcom had never taken away a character's reversal in a patch. This is typically something that is done between games. They gave it more combo potential so it's still useful, but they took a hammer to Urien's defense. No more invincibility, still beats throws. And you would think that this would crater the character. This had never been done before. If he wanted to use a defensive option, he had to spend precious V-gauge that could have gone to his Aegis. The character actually started to resemble G, a character that wasn't weak, but wasn't expected to win big tournaments. Quick side note on G. Very similar to Urien with big long normals that allow him to control space, also has a not great fireball. He is in charge, so he can rely a bit more on his rush punch move. But there are two main differences between them. G relies on his presidentiality levels. G can charge his presidentiality, which empowers his special moves. His game plan relies on getting knockdowns so he can charge this and become a much better character. But a knockdown removes a level. And he has a command grab, making his offense scarier. And much like Urien, he has a very strong V-trigger. It empowers his V-skill 1 and fully charges his presidentiality. You don't need to get knockdowns, just activate and go crazy. But like Urien, he doesn't have a reversal, meaning if he wants defense, he'd have to delay his trigger. And after the V-trigger nerf, where the timer was chosen by your presidentiality before you activated, G was relegated as a solid mid-tier. Still with representation, Johnny and Itazan, and sometimes Ivan, but not really a meta threat anymore. And it appeared that Urien would end up in that scenario too. They were very different characters, but it seemed like he would go in a similar direction.
They just literally ruined Urien 100,000%. You can't do anything with that character.
But that's not what happened. China's favorite character for this game was Urien, and in the final season, China's own DCQ was absolutely smoking people with his Urien. I think Coach Ding was one of the most underrated players in the final season. And if he didn't get put in the death pool in Capcom Cup, I think would have made top 8. And before that tournament, going into the LCQ, the potential best player in the world was Shuto, another Urien player. Despite the nerf, Urien was still very strong, with 2 very strong representatives of him competing, really competing, at the highest level. The nerf made him worse, but the character was very much alive. Didn't hurt that he beat Luke. And that's why I think of Urien when I think of the evergreen character. It's because while Rashid was mostly championed by Gachikun for the entire game, Urien had multiple players over the years taking his reins and performing with him. Ohio Final Boss, Alienware Nemo, Goat Tokido, and then by the end, Shuto and Coach Ding. Urien wasn't kept relevant by one player. Urien was a great avatar for many players across many seasons. So what about Urien made him so infallible? What was the difference between him and G? A lot of things. But Urien, despite having an absurd V-trigger, didn't need it. He could win without it, his base kit was strong enough. Sure, it was one of the best in the game, and he would very much like to use it, but it's not like his character doesn't work without it. Characters being reliant on V-trigger is very feast or famine design, and it generally leads them to not being the best. Minot is a very strong character, but she's just worse Dalsum with a much better V-trigger, and I think we all know which character is stronger. Strong V-triggers are fine, they're fun, but a character should still be able to function well without one. If you only rely on a comeback factor, you'll be inherently inconsistent. And Urien isn't that, which is what makes him just so good. This gave me a good idea, so next time I'll talk about Mr. Street Fighter V, the Turbulent Wind Rashid. So get excited for that. Hype this video, please, and thank you.